What's going on, everyone from LowKick MMA? My name is Dane Podolsky. I'm joined with Garrett Armfield. He's set to return to the UFC Octagon on August 26th when he takes on Toshiomi Kazama in UFC Singapore. Garrett, thank you so much for taking the time. Of
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
course, just
I'm
first off,
excited to go out to Singapore.
man, just first off, about a week and a half out. How's training been going? How are you feeling?
Oh, training's been awesome. Honestly, this is probably one of the best camps I've had, like especially health wise. Man, my health has been just like great the entire time. And I we got this fight scheduled like it was only like 5 weeks out, 6 weeks out. And so it was like the perfect amount of time, because I'm not a big fan of like 12-week long camps. Or at least finding out about a fight 12 weeks out because you want to start training right away. So I kind of like these shorter camps where like because we're always training, we're always staying ready. Like yeah, we're always required to, train our butts off every single day at Marathon MMA. And so man, I was just already ready to go. And like I got the offer from my manager. They said if I'm interested, and I said, of course I'm interested. Sign me up, man. I'd love to go out to Singapore and see what's about. So ready to go.
When do you head out to Singapore?
I leave Friday morning at like 6 in the morning, and then man, it is a long flight. It's Friday. I get to Singapore, or excuse me, I get to San Francisco. That's where my layover's at. I get there like at like 9 a.m. and then we leave from Singapore, from San Francisco to Singapore from 11 a.m. all the way until like 6 p.m. the next day.
Yeah, it
So
must
yeah,
with the time change too, it must be even longer, I'm guessing.
well yeah. So like technically, I'm on the plane for 16 hours, but with the time change included, it's like 36 hours. So I'm kind of like time traveling right now.
Yeah.
But what's even crazier is on the way back is that I leave Singapore Sunday morning after fight night at 8 in the morning, and I land in San Francisco at 9 in the morning Sunday morning because like the time change is like yeah.
Yeah. It's quick
So
1 hour flight, I guess.
yeah, right.
But and look at the places you've traveled to. Singapore. Would you call that like the most excited place you've gone to travel to fight?
Yeah, to fight, yes. I mean, other than that, I fought in Missouri, Vegas, of course, Philadelphia, New Jersey, kind of like the Northeast, and then that's where I did a little bit of my regional career at. And then other than that, I've been to Dallas to help an old friend get ready for a fight. And I mean, other than that, like this is by far the farthest I've ever gotten to travel. And I honestly, I like manifested this in a way because I had a family friend like reach out to me like probably 2 months ago. They're like, "Hey man, when are you fighting next?" And I was like, they're going to Singapore, and I'd really love to go to Singapore. And then literally 2 weeks later, I get the call that I'm going to be fighting in Singapore.
Mhm.
And I really didn't have any kind of clue when I was going to be able to fight next either, because there was like no specific set date. So yeah,
And fair enough. And looking at this fight, have you gone to watch the previous footage on Kazama and what gives you the advantage over him?
yeah, I have. I've been able to watch a couple of fights. One of my old roommates is actually from Japan, so he was actually able to go through like the Japan YouTube because like obviously the characters are different, so it's hard to find like his pancreas fights or whatever promotion it was.
Mhm.
Um, and so I've watched a lot of his fights, and it's pretty clear what his game plan is, and it's to come forward with pressure and get the fight to the ground. That's where he has his best skill set at. And then at the same time, like if you ever watch any of my fights, people that come forward straight on like that, it's a problem with me because I consider myself a dynamic striker and I'm accurate, and so I aim right down the pipe every single time.
And looking at your career, 8 wins, you finished 7 of them, 5 knockouts, 2 subs. Where do you consider yourself to be at your strongest?
My strongest is definitely boxing, 100%. Um, Boxing, kickboxing, honestly, like my hands are like honestly that's like it's my thing. I'm always been known to like boxing. I'm not scared to fight. I love fighting. I love pain. I love every single part that comes with it. And even more than I love pain, I love inflicting pain. As sadistic as that sounds, man, like something about it just it feels good, man.
I mean, as a fan, I love to hear that. And
Yeah.
for you, it'll end up being about a 13-month layoff. You fought David Onama, had bouts fall through with Chris Rodriguez, Jose Johnson. How frustrating has that been for you, just not being able to be in the cage?
I was definitely wanting to be way more active, of course. Like after my fight with David last July, a year ago, I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna be able to fight in like 3 months. I'm gonna be ready to go. And you know, life just comes at you sometimes, and you just gotta roll with the punches. And man, like you just can't let it bring you down. Like it is frustrating, but during the same time, man, I've become a completely different fighter than I was in my debut. I've always been super dedicated and like in love with martial arts. So I've always been one that's constantly been at the gym. So I've just had that much more time to become more skilled and more developed. I don't look at it as frustration. I look at it just as more opportunities to increase my skill set and be more of a problem for the division.
And comparative to your UFC debut, where you're fighting on short notice, up a weight class, how nice is it for you to have, a longer camp and to be at your natural weight class at 35 for this fight?
Oh, it feels nice. Honestly, like I kind of loved how that experience was. Like I didn't really have time to think about it. When I fought David, because like I was in Missouri on Tuesday visiting my family, and I got a phone call, and they're like, "Hey, you want to be in Vegas tonight?" And then next thing you know, I'm doing medicals, doing like these interviews, getting pictures done, and next thing you know, it's fight week. And so I really feel like I didn't get to take in the full, like your full first fight week. I've had a lot of people, a lot of mentors tell me that you'll never forget your first fight week. And so now I'm excited to really be able to like take my time and really like soak up my first international fight week. Not international fight week, but my first fight week overseas.
And obviously, like the Asian MMA crowds are known for being respectful, but you are in a way going into enemy territory. They'll probably be backing the Japanese fighter in Kazama. Does that give you any extra motivation?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I fought in Philly, I always fought guys that were Philly guys. And I thought it was hilarious because whenever I was finished with my opponent,
Mhm.
like you just hear me like hell like yell at this roar, and
Yeah.
they're like the crowd was completely silent, and I was like, oh man, you can hear everything I'm saying right now. But I still, that's what I love about like Asian fan base is that they are still like such like they're in love with fighting and they love martial arts, and so I know if I deliver a performance, I think they're gonna cheer me on regardless.
And for your fight card, main event, Max Holloway versus Korean Zombie. Zombie's obviously possible retirement fight in Singapore. We'll have the crowd behind him. Who do you think's gonna win that fight?
Max Holloway. Yeah. I said I love Korean Zombie. I've been a fan of him since his WEC days. I've watched him since I was a kid, man. And it would be a great Cinderella story to watch him go out on top because we always want to see fighters go out on top. Um, but Max Holloway, there's a reason he's broken like several UFC records for a reason.
Mhm.
And then I know his last fight, what that was with Korean Zombie and Volkanovski, that was short notice for Korean Zombie, but we kind of saw how that went. It's been has he fought since then or no?
He hasn't fought. It'll end up being about 15 months for Korean Zombie. He hasn't fought.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna count him out because he's the Korean Zombie and he's dangerous as can be,
Mhm.
but I'm leaning towards Max Holloway.
Yeah. It's funny too because with Holloway, outside of his three losses to Volkanovski, his fights, he beat Cater, beat Yair, beat Arnold Allen. So he's really kind of run through that division outside of Volkanovski. But certainly an exciting matchup. And then looking at your division, big title fight this weekend, Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley. Who do you have for that one?
Aljamain Sterling. I think for the UFC's marketing purposes, and honestly, with this fight with Peter Yan, that impressed me. Um, I still believe that Yan won that fight on a very close decision. I kind of thought they gave it to Sean O'Malley, but at the same time, he earned my respect a lot because we didn't really see who he was as a fighter against top competition that is Peter Yan. Um, with that being said, I still think Aljamain Sterling is just like a very game opponent, and he's extremely athletic, and he's like a weird athletic where he's athletic in unathletic positions. Like there's like a few people like that can just like you know be strong in every single position. I think that's going to be a problem for O'Malley. Um, but if it's a first round striking knockout, I could see O'Malley definitely. But anything other than that, it's going to be Aljamain Sterling, 100.
It,
percent
it should be a great fight. I totally agree with you on that Peter Yan fight. Is that I think Yan won that fight too, but it showed that O'Malley can at least compete at that high level. And starting with UFC marketing, it's the right matchup. Um, you know, looking at you as sort of an up and coming younger fighter, is there one fighter you try to model your game after?
One person I'm trying to model my game after. Oh, That's a good question. Honestly, one is Gilbert Burns. I know we're completely different weight classes, but I have tremendous respect for Gilbert. He was a mentor of mine back when I was living in Florida, and just seeing like how he was one of those fighters that would fight anybody and was always ready. And I feel like a lot of times, like he did that so he could, uh, bring his family further and really take care of his family. And it's like a very honorable thing to me to see that happen. Um, and then like probably my division wise, I know he's been in a slump, but I love Peter Yan's style, and I love the way he boxes people up in his trips. And you know, I like him a lot.
Mm-hmm. And for you, you're moving out to Marathon MMA for this fight. Who have been your main training partners, and how has making that move helped you?
My main training partners, Miles Johns and Mike Breeden, helped me out a lot this camp. We also got Trey Ogden, who's put a tremendous amount of effort into me with private sessions and just always being somebody to drill with. I know he's a little bit bigger weight class than me, but like he's able to kind of like adapt his style to be just like the fighter I'm going to be fighting. And of course, we have a slew of up and coming pros that are like 1-0, 2-0 pros that are going to be straight dogs in a couple of years. Um, and those guys definitely did help me out a lot, and I appreciate those guys. Like his name's Alex Gomez. Keep an eye out for him. He's 1-0 as a pro. You can't find anybody to fight him, but man, that man is game, and he knows how to push the pace.
And coming from a big gym in Killcliff and moving to somewhat of a smaller gym in Marathon MMA, do
Yeah,
you think that has been big for you in that there's more attention on you when you have your fight and there's not as many bodies in the gym?
yeah, that was a big thing, and I mean, I owe a lot to Killcliff FC. Man, they helped my career out so much. They were there for me in my personal life and my professional life, and they helped get me to the UFC. That being said, man, I just needed a change, and I needed to kind of come back to my roots and come back. So I'm originally from St. Louis, and I want to be back in Missouri. And then training at a smaller gym, man, it is crazy how it's like my entire camp was kind of surrounded by me, like it was about me. And at Killcliff, it was kind of like you'd go, you'd train, and then like they just get you ready to fight, and you go fight. Which they still do a great job of course. But this one I got written out game plans for every single position, every single thing. Like we just drilled it into my head time after time. And my biggest, like, I guess not, I wouldn't say like worry. I guess I'll say a little bit worry was that I was gonna go to this gym and not get the work that I like needed, like the hard rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, those freaking kids, man, they push hard. Like they give me some of my toughest rounds. And it's like they just push a pace. And a lot of times like I tell them, and like kind of like a big difference is that like in the Midwest, we don't really have like that as many distractions. Like honestly, like the only thing to do in Kansas is to train if you're not into going to bars. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fighters don't go to bars, so they just train, they go to work, they come back to training. Florida, you got the beach, the club scene. They see all this money around, they want to be around that. They like, and so a lot of all the fighters there are dedicated as well. But I guess I didn't really realize that like the smaller guys that haven't made it there or made it pro yet even give me extremely tough rounds. And it's because they just train, they just work their butts off. And it's like that Midwest way of life that you got to earn what you have.
I mean, certainly when I hear guys like Miles Johns, Mike Breen, it's not like you're fighting, amateur guys. It's guys who are in the UFC. In addition to
Yeah, exactly.
guys, and I'd assume with the up and coming guys, they're arguably even more motivated because they want to get to where you're at.
Yeah, and now you got kind of like a target on your back because like every kid wants to be like, or every younger fighter wants to be like, oh, I'm gonna come after him. Like I want him. Um, and then another big difference is like the amount of mat time I'm like on the mat. Like I literally am on the mat at 8:30 in the morning, and then I'm done at 11:30 in the morning. That's just my morning session. So it's 3 hours of learning, conditioning, training, getting better. And then it's like 2 hours at night. So it's already like 5, 6 hours that I'm putting into my craft. Where like my old gym was more like very high pace, very hard, like get in, get your work in, go home and rest. And so that's been a big difference is that I'm just kind of at the gym a little bit more.
And looking at this fight, if all goes well and you beat Toshiomi Kazama, how busy would you like to be for the rest of the year? And what are your goals for the end of 2023?
Yeah, I want to fight at least one more time for the end of the year. I'd love to get on a December card, or even mid-November. That way I can like enjoy Thanksgiving, enjoy the holidays with my family. But I want to get one more in by the end of the year for sure. Especially if everything goes well and goes how it's planned, then get right back to it. Take a couple of weeks off, get right back into camp, come in, make my money, and then spend 2024, climbing up the rankings.
Well, Garrett, I'm wishing you the best of luck. And just my final question. August 26th, Toshiomi Kazama, Garrett Armfield. Garrett, give me your official prediction.
I'm coming for the knockout, 100%. It's gonna be within the third. Obviously, it's gonna be within in the 3 rounds because I'm not going decision. But I'm telling you, man, I hit like a truck, and he's going to realize that.
Fair enough. Well, Garrett, I'm wishing you the best of luck. Guys, Garrett Armfield returns to the UFC Octagon in Singapore on August 26th when he takes on Toshiomi Kazama. Garrett, thank you so much for taking the time. If you got any sponsors, socials you want to shout out, go ahead.
Yeah, shout out to all my family and friends and sponsors that's helped me out, get me to this point. Much love to you guys. You guys can follow me on my social medias at Garrett Armfield 135 and Armfield 135 on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now. Yeah, stay tuned. My fight at Singapore is going to be at like 5 in the morning this time, so get your butt up.
Awesome. Garrett, thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Have a good night.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.